Hola. If you guys don't mind, today I'm going to take my time. You know, I made myself a little cup of chai tea latte. I'm going to add some espresso power to it. I don't necessarily need the buzz or anything. I always think it tastes better if you put a little bit of coffee flavor in it. So I got this like super long spoon. uh, I have all kinds of things going, to think about. And I get on here when I feel like I should get on here or feel motivated to get on here. What do you guys think? It's hard to tell where my eyes are pointing, right? Because I have my camera right above my screen here. And if I look at myself, I can tell that I'm not looking at my camera. If I look at the camera, I can't see my eyes. So I really can't tell where I'm looking. I don't know. So quite a few things. I guess I could start with... I really like to let you guys know, for one thing, if you're watching a YouTube video, and if I put, let's say I put the hashtag tarot on my YouTube video, most people, and this is because the group collective will naturally attract to what it wants to hear. Basically, like you'll naturally attract your state of mind of what you want to hear. And so since most people are in some kind of state of drama or like, who's in my energy, who's feeding off me, or something like that. Most of the tarot card videos you see out there are about who's in my energy, right? So is somebody going to come back to love me, right? Or something like that. It's just some goofy thing that really is kind of, you're wasting your energy pouring it into that, right? Because it's like, when I have pulled cards, the reason I did was because I wanted to become a channel for whoever needed to hear something. And I realized that I can get on here and be more informational about what's going on so you guys can make your own choices about what you need to be doing. Because the more you know about yourself and the more you start to trust yourself, the less you're going to depend on me or anybody else. Now, we all help each other grow as a group collective. But ultimately, every single one of us are whole. That's something that I teach. And for that reason, it's easy to forecast where we're going. Right? Inflation is a symptom of people not feeling whole. Let me explain. If it feels like I need to sell a service to you, then I have to create a separation in my mind that you need something that I have. Is that true? There's two states of reality, right? I mean, there's a lot of scientists who agree. Quantum physics says, well, time is an illusion. True. At any point in time space, you can connect to all the energy and information that you want, whatever you need for that time. Because time, you can measure, okay, tomorrow isn't here yet, but in reality, everything's instantaneously connected across time space. So time in itself is measurable, but it's also an illusion, right? Everything's this dichotomy. And so the only thing that doesn't change is that nothing ever stays the same. Life and death are two sides of the same coin. You can't live without dying every day to yourself, and you won't be living unless you die. Right? So you're whole, and so if we never created a shadow of ourselves, we would never have a way to pull ourselves apart to experience each other as separate. So you're always coming back into wholeness. And once you realize that, now you're not in conflict with anything. Because everybody is in various states of inner conflict because they feel as though they're separate from everybody else. Pretty simple, right? And so it's easy to see if someone is in a state of separation because they're not in their creative energy. They're in some way, shape, or form trying to sell themselves to you. Um, and I've realized that, because I have reached out in the past, and this is why advertising and sales is a total waste of time. Advertising and sales will just pull you off of your journey every single time because you're trying to talk somebody into needing whatever it is you have to offer. Why do you need to do that? They're fine. You need to realize that you're fine. You're whole. There's nothing that you need other than to figure out what it is you're going to create in this reality. Because, you have to, if you want to, be a part of the community, you've got to create something for the community. But you want to create something for other people and manifest something physical if you want something physical back, right? There's got to be an equal energetic exchange. Just sitting there using the law of attraction and meditating on manifesting money you're wasting your time, right? That's why so many people try to do that, but it just doesn't work. You have to talk somebody in that that's the way to do it and then sell it to them and have them pay you to teach them to do it. It's sick. Don't do that. Do not do that. Please don't do that. And I know that people have fallen into the trap of thinking that that's a good idea. So you have to, at the same time, be compassionate for people where they're at. Make sure that they understand that please don't do that, right? Mental health. Why is mental health a thing right now? Because mental health is breaking down. People are consuming too much and they're not creative. If you're not if you can't feel out what it is your heart is telling you, because all of us are apart and whole at the same time. So at any single moment in time, I can connect to my higher self and be whole and become a channel for whatever everybody else needs. Now, as soon as everybody else in this reality, in this physical reality, is whole and doesn't need anything from each other, boom, like major ascension. That's where we're going. There's going to be a time where we're going to reach that barrier. We're going through an energetic shift where everybody's healing internally. You can't help anybody heal. They have to face their own demons, right? Now, if they understand that they are whole, you can project that energy and help heal them, but only if they ask. You cannot sell that to somebody, because if you're trying to sell that to somebody, it means that believe you're in a superior position, and that's not true. All of us are equal. All of us have access to infinite wealth and abundance within ourselves at every point in time and space. My dad, it's funny because my dad's 79. He gets pretty cooped up in the house, and he just like, what am I? Hey, I'm gonna go to the store. What do you want? I was like, we don't need to go to the store twice a day. He's just like, I told him, going to the store and buying something is not gonna make you happy. I said, go down by the river. Go sit by the river. I don't want to get wet. I was like, okay. There's all kinds of things that you can do. You can go visit with people. You can go. He's like, well, maybe I should go to the library. He's like, that is a great idea. Go to the library and go read a book. That's a great idea. Go find something that you're interested in. Go sit down, peacefully read a book. More than likely, you're going to meet somebody that you can spend some time with and just relax. Yeah. So, the best thing that you guys can do, and this is something that I have gone through personally, and I would really recommend you doing this, even if you don't sell your book to market, just find time in the day to sit and relax, connect to your higher self, and just journal entries. And then do that for maybe write 40, 50, 60 pages. It might take you 3 weeks. Don't rush the process. Don't try and force yourself to write a book to sell money. Do not do that. Connect with yourself, and when you feel inspired, write what it is that you feel like you need to write in your book. And then once you've written, enough to where you feel like, hey, I want to review this. Review it, see how it reads, make changes, because after you go through that process, you'll come to greater understandings of yourself to try and get a better message across in the beginning of the writing. This book that I just published, There's Only One Heart. You can buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I think it's available on Barnes and Noble now. I'm not sure. That book wrote itself. I didn't, and that book took 7-8 months for me to write. I wasn't writing a book to try and give you knowledge to make me money. I was trying to connect with my higher self to give you channeled messages of what I thought you needed to hear. And I realized a lot of things about myself by writing that book. And I find myself realizing those same things constantly, especially if you forget about them. The fact that you really don't need anything, but you want a lot of things, right? I mean, we don't need a house. We could survive down by the river or something. And to be honest, in a lot of ways, sometimes I would rather do that. It's just me. Not everybody's like me, so I don't pretend that other people like me. But we don't need a lot of stuff. And you realize that, I read a post not too long ago. I think it was yesterday. It's like I'm sitting here drinking a cup of. I haven't even touched this thing. It's super hot. I don't know. Let's see what it tastes. I was drinking a cup of coffee, and I realized, I stopped drinking coffee a long time ago. But I like the taste. And if you get to where, you've overcome all your own pains of just following your heart space and just doing what your heart tells you to do, you're never in conflict anymore. And you realize that was the only reason you were in conflict before in the first place. And you also realize that that's the only path for any of you. I can't help you overcome yourself, your own unbelief in yourself, right? You have to be able to believe that you can create and manifest whatever you want in this life. Yeah. What else is it going to cover? The bigger picture. So the bigger picture when it comes to, a lot of times, I talk about this a little bit about management. And I don't know, for many of you guys who are working a 9-to-5 or you're working inside of a company, a lot of times you've got business structures that are, unequally yoked, right? And if you're in a management position and somebody's working for you and they're doing a task to support an idea, 99% of the time, those people are not following their heart. So they're in a stressed relationship. And it's different if you 100% believe in what you're doing, right? If you 100% believe in what you're doing and you love what you're doing, you're following your heart, and you're all working as a team, then how much money each person makes really doesn't matter. Although there will be some resentment because it is never going to pay to say that this person is worth more than somebody else. That's not true. All of us are worth, our time is equally yoked. Now, obviously, not everyone's time is equally yoked if you're not in a healed state. If you haven't healed yourself to where you're relaxed and you can focus on the task at hand because you love what you're doing, and you're getting distracted and having consume off of things because you're not loving what you're doing, then you're not in a healed state. So your time is less valuable. That's why money came into existence, but money was also a cause for the original problem. And by putting yourself in service to other people, it will force yourself to heal because you'll need to create for yourself what it is you're creating for other people. The road less traveled. Extreme road less traveled because you're not dependent on the system whatsoever. I've seen videos of people say, I'm outside of the matrix. It's like, okay. The matrix is constantly changing. For one thing, that the evolution of the consciousness is changing. Mine is constantly changing, right? I'm constantly coming to higher and higher elevated versions of what I understand about myself. It's just a journey. And once you realize that It's an infinite journey in the manifested state back to your timeless state in the now. You're in both states at all times. The creator and the created. This created vessel and the creator creating this vessel. You're in both states. One state's moving back to the other. Life and death. Over and over and over. An infinite number of times per second. As you look in and expand out. That's what this reality is. That's why we did it. That's why you and I made the choice. So every single person that you see in your life is your shadow. Something that I realized last night. First time that I really, really got a hold of it. People say, you need to incorporate your shadow. You need to get comfortable with your shadow. If you're looking at me, I am your shadow. I am talking to my shadow on this channel. Because you will always, in a created reality, we will always be in an energetic exchange. That's how you pull reality apart from being whole. You have to create a shadow. Light has to have a shadow, so you have to yank it apart. If you look at a toroidal field, it's going your own biofield. It's everything exactly the same. It comes up and out, and then the shadow energy is what's coming back in. So the energy, what you put out is what you get back. What you're creating is what you get back. And eventually, your vibrational state will go up so high, you're able to physically manifest whatever it is for the need is, not for you, because all you're doing is feeding your shadow. You don't need to feed yourself. That's what money's for. That's the secret. You're always feeding your shadow, and that's how you get control over your shadow. All the little things out there, you're feeding it. That's all Jesus is doing. That's why he said what he said at the beginning of the fast. Remember the 40-day fast? And the devil said, you can turn that rock into bread and feed yourself. And he said he wouldn't do it. He said, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but I could look it up, but it'd take me too long. Well, let's look it up. Why not? We got time. Okay. If I just Google it, we're just going to say Jesus speaks to devil during fast. Let's see if it comes up. Aha. Yeah, turn these stones into loaves. Matthew 4. Jesus prepared for the test by fasting 40 days and 40 nights. That left him, of course. And see, even that, the Bible is totally subjective. Jesus preparing for a test, that's not what happened. He realized he was controlling his reality, right? That he was a creator. And he had to get to a certain energetic state in order to even start that. You don't just go out in the desert, fast 40 days, 40 nights. Okay? It doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. That left him, of course, in a state of extreme hunger, which the devil took advantage of in the first test. Since you are God's son, speak the word that will turn these stones into loaves of bread. But then when it says, and then he says, I am the bread of life. The person who aligns with me hungers no more and thirsts no more ever. Right? Because you are the creator. The hunger is your shadow. That's what you're feeding. You're always feeding your shadow. We're always feeding each other. So he became the creator of his reality. Everybody started feeding off of him. Multitudes. Read it again. Read the Bible again. We're still living in his reality. Right? You got Hundreds of thousands of people worship that man because of that story. He was trying to tell you how to do what he did. That's why he got killed. As long as you keep, and that's why he said it would be easier for, a camel to pass the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom. Because a rich man will always depend on an external reality and not realize that they're creator. You'll always be dependent on some kind of external thing. All you have to do is keep creating. And the power of your creations will get more and more profound. Because you're not creating a resistance. You're just creating and putting it out there. And then everything that you need will just naturally come in, and it will tell you about yourself, what's coming towards you, how you're trying to force yourself. If you're trying to force yourself in any way, you'll get feedback, little bits of information. It's like, why are you doing that? Little birdie whispering in your ear. Why are you doing that? Now, that doesn't mean, there's people that you talk to all the time. I'd love to hear from you. I love calling and talking to people. That's not trying to force myself on it, but because I'm not trying to sell myself. I just want to spend time with you, right? There's nothing better than, especially meeting somebody randomly and all of a sudden creating a conversation with them and having a really good time together. Amazing, right? Yeah. What else can I say about that? What is there else I could possibly say? Understanding that the people around you are your shadow, though, is very important. That you're always feeding them. You try and feed yourself. Now you're letting your shadow feed off of you. Because you're not the creator anymore. Yeah. My brother wrote an article the other day I commented on. It was like the Illuminati and Enlightenment and judgment. So, it's when you judge something as good or bad, your discernment is poor, because everything is you, even if it's your shadow. You and I are one, just as the Father and I are one. Your shadow is part of you. And so even if your shadow is in a state of in conflict, it doesn't mean that that's bad. That's part of the process of moving back to wholeness. Going from to being out of conflict. I mean, even me drinking this is technically, I'm in conflict if I feel like I need it. Let's put it that way. If I don't feel like I need it, I'm not in conflict. It's all a state of mind where you're in a state of peace in all times. Because it doesn't matter. You realize it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. All you need to do is share your own level of consciousness to feed your shadow so that you heal your shadow. You're slowly healing your shadow over time, over an infinite amount of time, until there's no shadow left and you're all the way back to the source. That's what all this is. One giant polarity of life and death, the burning bush, dying constantly to old versions of yourself. That's how you are alive. And you'll always be able to predict the future that way, because everything is doing that. When you look at everything, it doesn't matter. You can try and call it an economic climate or whatever, or a political climate, but it's always moving from how you're feeding the shadow or feeding yourself. If you're feeding yourself, you're allowing the shadow to feed off of you. If you're feeding the shadow, then you are gaining control over the shadow. Because now you're the creator of your own reality. Maybe that's a clue. Maybe that's is that the shadow? I don't know. But you're always meeting a need because the shadow has needs. Because the shadow is trying to get back to light, so there's a need. It's an illusion. The illusion is that there is no shadow, right? That's when you fall outside of time. When there's no more shadow. The shadow is the only thing gets created when there's time, and so you have to feed it over time. And that's why you become a creator. To create something created to feed the shadow. I hope this makes sense to you guys. You know, you always come into deeper understandings of yourself and everything around you, and don't ever feel like you need to stress over anything. Just ask for inner guidance, and I trust you guys to, you know, obviously I trust myself, and so I trust you guys to do what it is you need to do for yourself and feed your shadow. Maybe you'll feed me something. I love you guys. Let's pull an oracle card, shall we? We could even pull some tarot cards. I don't know. I don't feel like pulling tarot cards. I don't think they'll mean much to me. Because the tarot cards are always going to tell you how you're just a way of your masculine and feminine energy, and you know, if you strength, it's just all about you and learning to trust your inner guidance. What are you doing for yourself to help the other people around you? It's always a dichotomy, right? Sacred journey. It is a sacred journey because you're always just going back to wholeness within. The sacred journey. Okay, love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one, whenever that is. I don't know. I'm gonna go outside. It's a beautiful day today. I'm gonna go down to the river and just sit and enjoy the river with my drink here. Hopefully I'll run into somebody. You know, maybe have a conversation with somebody, talk to somebody and see where they're at. You'll find that it's a lot easier to be at peace with whatever anybody's going through when you realize that, and have compassion, because at one point or a time, that is you going through that. Catch you in the next one.